You ever think you're finally free from the worst parts of your past, only to wake up one morning and realize troubles just changed its address? Yeah, that happened to us. One minute, Amanda and I were supposed to be enjoying our new life, soaking up the quiet, peaceful air of a neighborhood that felt a million miles from everything ugly we'd seen in Washington, D.C. The next, we were standing on our porch, looking at a woman named Victoria Hartwell, who had a smile so rehearsed you'd swear she practiced it in front of a mirror every night. Clutching a thick packet labeled mandatory HOA participation like she was serving us divorce papers. She had that air about her, the kind that says, I get what I want because I make the rules. We just wanted to be left alone. Two burned-out federal prosecutors, done with the stress, looking for some peace, thinking maybe our kids, Emma and Lucas, could finally grow up normal, without having to check the locks 3 times before bed. We turned Victoria down, politely. Didn't want her HOA. Didn't want the fees. But we let it go. Tried to. First violation letter landed on our porch within 48 hours. A $200 fine for a mailbox that matched every other mailbox on the block. Amanda started digging, comparing Victoria's letters with old case files from D.C., and found something that made her blood run cold. A faded sticker on Victoria's briefcase, Kellerman and Associates. The law firm that once nearly ruined our lives. And suddenly the memory hit. Hard. Victoria was the defense attorney who tried to keep Robert Kane, a corporate thief, out of jail. The one who lost her license after I exposed her for coaching clients to lie and hiding their dirty money. Now she was standing on my lawn, running an HOA as cover for a personal vendetta. That was her angle. Not community, not safety, but revenge. Systematic, methodical, chilling. She'd researched our move before we even arrived. Knew when we'd bought the house. What school the kids would attend, which days Amanda worked late. She campaigned for the HOA president role just to get authority over us. Her harassment campaign was military grade. Violation letters about grass height, toys in the yard, even paint color. Everything designed to make us miserable, to isolate our kids and turn neighbors against us. The real twist? Victoria didn't just want to bleed us with fines. She poisoned the entire neighborhood. Told Mrs. Anderson, our elderly neighbor, that prosecutors attract dangerous criminals. Convinced Tom Bradley, the veteran next door, that federal agents bring government surveillance. Had Linda Wu, the single mom, worrying about her property value. It worked. Emma stopped getting invited to birthday parties. Lucas's friends wouldn't play with him. Anonymous complaints rolled into their school. You ever watch your children come home, confused and hurt, because someone else decided to make them outcasts? That's when the father in me woke up. I swore nobody was going to break us. We documented everything. Letters, threats, conversations, property damage. Amanda tracked every detail. Just like we used to build cases against real criminals. But Victoria wasn't finished. She started digging into our past cases, pulling up classified files. Details about the Castellano family, organized crime, murder, witness protection. Stuff that was supposed to be sealed tight. She found out about Emma's anxiety, Lucas's nightmares, every weakness. And she weaponized them. That's when she crossed the line from harassment into genuine danger, sending anonymous threats. Implying she'd reveal our location to people who'd pay good money to see us disappear. And just when we thought it couldn't get worse, Amanda's phone buzzed at 3 a.m. with a text. I know about the Castellano family. I know why you really left D.C. My heart nearly stopped. Victoria had escalated. She was willing to risk putting our family in mortal danger. All to get her twisted revenge. She even tried impersonating government officials, sent fake city letters threatening us with thousands in fines, forged municipal seals. That's a federal crime. She didn't care. She was unraveling. Final straw? Victoria started targeting our kids directly, calling Child Protective Services, claiming Amanda and I neglected our children. Had someone watching them after school, making anonymous calls to social services. Emma's anxiety came back. Lucas started acting out. Amanda and I were stretched thin, constantly on edge. Juggling our jobs and this nightmare, watching our kids' world shrink down to our living room. The pressure was enough to crack anyone. But we weren't anyone. Then Victoria, riding high on her own rage, made her biggest mistake. She went public, screaming accusations in the grocery store parking lot for half the town to hear. ranting about the Kane case, about how we'd framed her client, destroyed her life. She gave us a full confession right in front of multiple witnesses. She called the police herself, playing the victim, claimed we were harassing her, impersonating government officials, spun the whole thing as a conspiracy by corrupt prosecutors. But she overplayed her hand, showed Officer Cooper her forged documents, not realizing he could spot a fake a mile away. That's when Amanda and I stepped forward with our real credentials, months of evidence, recordings, witness statements, fake letters, photos of property damage. Officer Cooper listened, then calmly arrested Victoria. Impersonation, harassment, forgery, the whole works. She collapsed against her car, still shouting about conspiracies, but it was over. For the first time, our neighbors saw the truth, how they'd been manipulated, how Victoria had used their fears against us. People apologized, rallied, dissolved the HOA that night, formed a real community watch, and finally, Emma and Lucas were invited to every play date in the neighborhood. But you want to know the most cinematic part? 3 weeks later, Amanda received a letter from Victoria in county jail. One sentence: "This isn't over. I know where you really came from." For a moment, the old fear crept in. But then we looked around, at our kids laughing in the yard, at the neighbors who'd become friends, at the life we'd fought to rebuild. Whatever secrets Victoria thought she had, we'd face them as a family. Sometimes justice doesn't just happen, it needs a little help. Sometimes community is stronger than any threat. And sometimes the best revenge is simply living free and unafraid, knowing the bullies with fancy words are just bullies after all. So what do you think? Was justice served? Did we do the right thing? I tell you, it's not about silence or perfect lawns or the absence of drama. It's about finally feeling safe enough to let your guard down, to laugh without looking over your shoulder, to watch your kids ride their bikes down the street and know they'll come home smiling. These days, I sit on the porch most evenings, a cup of coffee cooling in my hand. Funny how things settle after the storm. The same neighbors who once eyed us with suspicion now wave as they pass, stopping to chat about nothing: gardens, weather, which tree dropped the most leaves last fall. Tom Bradley organized a real neighborhood watch, but it's about looking out for one another, not policing mailbox colors. Mrs. Anderson became the kids' unofficial grandma, dropping by every Sunday with cookies and stories about how our street used to be all farmland and wildflowers before the developers paved everything over. The isolation Victoria forced on us is gone, replaced by small kindnesses, shared burdens, genuine connections that run deeper than I'd ever expected from suburbia. The garden Victoria destroyed? Amanda and I rebuilt it, with a little help from everyone. Now it's greener and wilder than ever. Amanda jokes that nothing grows quite like something you fought for. Emma sleeps through the night, the tension in my shoulders finally unwinding after years of expecting trouble at every turn. Work's changed, too. Both Amanda and I became, almost by accident, experts in harassment cases. We teach young prosecutors how to document abuse, how to see through manipulations, how to stand your ground without losing yourself. Our experience with Victoria, awful as it was, gave us a new sense of purpose. Maybe that's how justice really works. It scars you, but if you're lucky, it also sharpens you. But there are nights, when the house is quiet and Amanda's asleep, that I remember Victoria's last letter, the one from county jail, the one that said, "This isn't over. I know where you really came from." I wonder, sometimes, what secrets she thinks she's uncovered, or if she's just bluffing, desperate to hang on to some shred of power over us. Maybe she's just trying to get under our skin one last time. Maybe there's something out there we don't know about. Some unfinished business from our old lives. You can never really escape your past, not entirely. Not when you've spent 15 years putting dangerous people behind bars. In the end, not just legal know-how or the evidence we collected, but the people around us finally seeing through the lies, refusing to be divided, choosing compassion over fear. There's no substitute for a real community. And if Victoria taught us anything, it's how easily someone can tear one apart, and how strong it becomes when it decides not to break. Sometimes Emma asks me why that mean lady tried to hurt our family. I tell her that some people can't stand losing, so they try to hurt others instead. But I also tell her about forgiveness, about starting over, about how even the worst experiences can make you stronger if you don't let them change who you are. Lucas just wants to know if the Wu kids can sleep over again. Life, it seems. Is there ever a right way to handle someone who refuses to let go of a grudge? Maybe that's a question without a perfect answer. Maybe every community, every family, has to figure it out for themselves. So here's what I want you to do. Tell me, would you have confronted Victoria? Would you trust your neighbors, or try to go it alone? Drop your thoughts below. Thanks for being here, for hearing our story, for believing that even in the quietest suburbs, the fight for what's right is never really over. Hit like if you think karma did its job. Share this with someone who needs to know they're not alone, and comment with what you would have done in our place. Sometimes, the next chapter is just waiting for us to be brave enough to write it together. Yeah, that's how it really happened. And out here, as the sun goes down, I can finally say, we're home.